Welcome to the garden. Today's day 2 of our raspberry trail building, and we've cut a path right through here so that we can connect our trail directly to the garden. Then we've got raspberries on both sides, and we're going to kind of wind through here past these trees, and then in a sort of spiral staircase style we'll do a set of stairs along this slope, and we're already starting to level things off over here. Trail building can be really fun and easy. So you want to start by just picking the natural slope and kind of using that to your advantage. We've already got a few level-ish spots that we can incorporate into stairs. But first, all you want to do is, on a slope like this, take some soil from the uphill side and then move it to the downhill side. This really quickly levels off about a 1 foot swath. Once it gets a little steeper, we can start doing stairs or reinforcements. So we'll take it right through here. We're just leveling off a nice area. The downhill slope is much more likely to erode. Because we're walking on it, we can slip and press, whereas the uphill side really isn't very likely to do that. But if you want, you can reinforce this with logs. And I usually do the downhill slope here, and that'll help really hold the soil back so it doesn't erode. So this is a really beautiful level area now. This will make it just a perfect trail. So I think we could use our first step right about here. So we'll kind of dig a little trench, just like this, so that we can set our stair in. I want to make sure it's right here flush with the rest of our trail. So we'll take out a chunk of soil here, and we can use this to backfill and pad your step. And your step is only going to be as tall as the top of your log here. So we'll try and pick a nice spot just about like that with nothing to really trip up on. And then we can add our stakes. So I like to do one on each end. And I'm using a sledgehammer, but you could use a carpenter's hammer or a stone or even a log. We're just going to sink this in so that we can anchor our stair. You want to do it a little bit below the top of your stair. You want to make sure it's nice and level and aligned to your trail. That's an excellent start. Now we can just backfill with all this soil. That's perfect. Now, just like building our trail, we want to take soil from the uphill side and pad the downhill side. We're just carving out our first step. If you have to reinforce this side, go ahead and do that too. I usually aim for about a foot of surface area, square foot. And then we can do our second stair here. So we'll stake this one in as well. Make sure it's level, aligned with this step, if that's what we want. I'm going to have about 2 straight stairs, and then we're going to start curving around like a spiral. Sledgehammer is just perfect for this. It's nice and quiet too, that's what I like about it. If you use a carpenter's hammer, it's going to be loud, but it will still work. You just want to be pretty gentle, not to break the wood. That's perfect. So now again we can cut the uphill side and add it to the downhill side. It's as simple as that. Just take little slices until you're happy. Don't be afraid to remove any soil or add any soil if you need it. And use the topography of the land to your advantage. The less you have to work, the better. So just like that, we've got the beginnings of a nice staircase over here. That's excellent. And even though these are wood, they should last a couple years at least. I've got trails that have been going on 3 or 4 years now. Then of course pack them in, because when we go to walk on these, we want to press on the soil, not on the logs, because those can slip out. Some of these slopes are getting a little steep, so we can just take little tiny stakes and sink these in periodically. These will actually help hold back quite a bit. So we'll just submerge them under the soil there, and they'll really help hold back without actually having a whole nother log. So the next step here, we're going to start turning. We want to start spiraling up. So we'll do a little bit of an angle here. There we go. That looks really nice. But we want to get about a foot's length of step between each one. So it's really coming along nicely. We'll just pop in a few more stairs here and tie it into the main garden. I'm really happy with how these turned out, but if you need to move the stakes for any reason, you can give them a little tap on the side like this, just real gentle, and that should be just enough to pull them out real smooth. Then you can resync them wherever you need. It's like I'm hitting a root, but I think we got it just about right there. Now as far as maintenance goes, you may need to replace these stakes every year or two, because eventually they will rot. You could always use rebar or something if you have it, but I just like to use natural stuff because it's free, it's simple, renewable. But really the best way to maintain your trails is to use them. This will compact that soil. As long as you're walking on the soil and not the logs, it'll actually help settle everything in. So just using your trails is a great way to maintain them. It'll also keep them clear of weeds. When the slope gets really steep, you want really large logs. It's even good to bury them a little bit. That way you don't get the soil to wash out through your step. But as the slope gets a little more shallow, we can use smaller logs. And this really turned out great. Right up through the garden. This is just perfect. So I'm really happy with how this little trail turned out. And hopefully we'll get a bunch more raspberries this year. So this is something you could do in your own garden. So I really hope you give this a go. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.